Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Das Food, and it has been a minute since my last really stupid video.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
So we are going to fix that, and we're going to do another very stupid one, and we're going to start on the killer side of things because this is going to be a two-part series. So what's it about? Well, one thing I have always said DBD does really well is art design. They have never had an issue with art design, and I don't see that becoming an issue at any point in the future. DBD is really top of the line when it comes to the art direction that they take. Every character is well designed, and some of them are exceptionally well designed. And one way that they have been able to flex their muscles on that has been through cosmetics. Ever since the cosmetic store was added, we've gotten fun, exciting new takes on all kinds of characters, and I'm excited to go through and show those. I want to highlight what I think is the best outfit for every killer. When we come back with the next video, we'll do the same for survivors. Now, I did make a few rules because I didn't want this just to be willy-nilly. So this is actually a good example. I hadn't really planned it out this way, but let's pretend I did. You look at this Trapper cosmetic, and the headpiece and the chest piece are from the same collection, that being the Boondocks Bounty. But uh-oh, look at that. The Ironworks collection is where we get the Firebrand Stinger from, and that is that's going to be prohibited for what I'm doing today. What I'm doing today is only going to be collections, only full sets. So you can't mix and match because frankly, that just raises it to be almost an endless number of cosmetic choices. And yeah, usually you're going to find your own personal favorite by mixing and matching. I get that. I'm just going to give credit for what I think are the very best of each killer's unique cosmetics. And again, we're going to do survivors in the next video. So I've wasted enough time explaining rules for such a silly video. Let's get into it and start with Trapper, who I think has his best cosmetic with Krampus. Now, I know that the set cosmetics, the ones where they're like this, where you can't mix and match, they're kind of controversial. But when something is added to the game that's a set, I expect it to be something like this, like Krampus. Now, you could argue this makes Trapper an entirely different character, and I'm inclined to agree with that. I don't think this is Trapper at this point. This is Krampus, who is using Trapper's power. To me, this is exactly what I expect out of a legendary set, and I think this is one of the very coolest cosmetics in the entire game. However, if you want to keep it as just the Trapper, I want to offer a bit of a kind of a secondary selection that's going to cost a little less too, and that can be bought without just using Auric cells, which have to be paid for with real world money. And I'm going to go for, what did they call it, the Macmillan Miner. I think this is a great cosmetic piece. I'm not as crazy about the weapon. It's fine. It's neither here nor there, but I actually think the My Bloody Valentine type look for Trapper is really cool, and I like it a lot. Next up, we have the Wraith, and he's actually already in the cosmetic piece that I like for him, save for one minor difference. I need to change the weapon. There we go. And that is the Blighted Wraith. Now, what I like about the Blighted Wraith is that I think this was an early example of just how cool the Blighted cosmetics could be. And unlike some of them, which isn't really to knock any of them because I think they're all pretty good, this one keeps a lot of the spirit of the original, because even while Wraith takes on this very monstrous form, he keeps Azerov's spine and skull as his weapon, which is just lovely, even though now it has a little serum sticking out of it, which is a nice touch. And I really like that, because when I look at Wraith cosmetics, I really like the ones that keep the weapon generally the same while just changing the look of it some, because I think that that is such a big part of who Wraith is. And I like that this one makes Wraith so monstrous, because in other Wraith cosmetics, Wraith is cool, he looks neat, he's a cool killer, but he's still kind of, he's still the Wraith. Whereas with this one, you are really getting something very unique. And I'm a big fan of it. I think that's very cool, and it's my favorite of his cosmetics. Now, Billy's I will not be able to find in the store, but thankfully he's already wearing it. He does have a different weapon, so you'll have to kind of bear with me on that one. He has 2 milk jugs on the end of it. But this is easily Billy's best outfit. Billy has some hit or miss outfits. Some are better than others. And in the case of Milkman Billy, to me it's just far and away his best cosmetic. This one is absolutely lovely. Now, I do want to give a kind of important caveat here for all the rules that I did set out. I generally want these to be ones that can be accessible to anybody. And in the case of Milkman Billy, it was part of a rift, and therefore it is not currently for sale. So if you don't have it, you are going to have to wait a calendar year from the time that rift ended. Billy's very upset about that. He just slapped the ground for you. However, it will be available to you within, it's not even a year at this point. It's something more like, 7 months, or I guess 8 months or something. So, you know, I know that sounds like a really far away, but, you know, it's going to happen. However, I did want to put it out there. I'm not considering skins from DBD Mobile. DBD Mobile is a different game. It is still Dead by Daylight. Sure, it's still valid. If you play it, if you love it, great, happy for you. But it's not Dead by Daylight, it's Dead by Daylight Mobile, which to me is decidedly different from Dead by Daylight on the Switch, on Xbox, on PlayStation, on PC. This is not Dead by Daylight on mobile, this is Dead by Daylight Mobile, and though they have some very, very cool skins, they will not be considered here. I meant to say that in the opening, but you know me, I'm a bit of a goofball. I forget things. Now, Nurse has a lot of good cosmetics, a lot of them that I was very tempted to consider. One that I really liked that I didn't choose was this one, this Campo trainee. I forget the name of the artist who designed it, but they have done some really, really cool pieces in the past. And apparently they have quite the reputation, so I'm sure somebody will be able to tell me their name. But very, very well done here. But what I ultimately went with was Lady Lunatic. And what I like about this one is, to me, it really captures a lot of what I see in the Nurse, as being true to her character. There is something delicate, and there's something kind of pleasant there, but there is also this darkness, right? So you have this lovely, lovely dress, but it's blood web. Blood web, you can tell I haven't played too much DBD. It's blood red. You have this lovely hat, but then this pitch black expressionless face. To me, this is such a good representation of who the Nurse is as a killer, and I really like it. I think it's very, very good. I'm a big fan. And next up, we have the Huntress. Huntress is another one who has been really gifted with some awesome, awesome cosmetics. I'm a big fan, by the way, of the Baba Yaga one. I didn't choose it because I didn't want to become predictable and just choose all of the legendary set ones. But if you're in the market for a really cool skin, Baba Yaga is very good. I also think that this one is very cool. The only issue I have with it is Huntress is already easy to see over a lot of loops. This makes her even easier. Look at the size of those antlers. No, my personal favorite is her Lunar New Year. I think that the boar is really cool. And, you know, I was torn, right? I was torn because I came down to it. This one is probably my personal favorite, but I also want to recommend Miss Kitty because it is actually a relatively cheap one. You can pretty easily grind without having to pay any money and unlock this one for yourself. It looks good, the weapon's nice, the mask is awesome, and I think the coat is very cool too. So I know it's kind of cheating to go with Brave Beast and Miss Kitty, but I would just say my personal favorite is Brave Beast, but I think for most people, Miss Kitty is going to be cheaper, and it looks incredible. So let's give the nod to Miss Kitty there. Next up, we go to Michael. You know, this one's interesting. Michael doesn't have a full set, so to speak, because obviously there's nothing that changes his mask. So whereas I'm normally going to throw out any of them that aren't full sets, we're going to have to make an exception for Michael. And you know what? Sure. He's got this one cosmetic, and I would rather choose the one that changes his torso and his weapon instead of just picking one of the weapons, even though some of these weapons are very cool. I think Michael chasing after you with this just hilariously long screwdriver is, you know, I mean, it's classic. But yeah, let's go with Pantsless Myers. Nobody's going to complain about Pantsless Myers. Next up, we have Hag. Hag was one of the more difficult ones to place for me because I actually kind of like a lot of her cosmetics, and I know that's probably surprising. I talk a lot of slander about the Hag, but, you know, I mean, this is fantastic. I think this is one of the better blighted skins in the entire game. This is Scorched Harvester. However, for me personally, I am a big fan of snakes. I'm very biased, and the Snake Charmer skin is fantastic. I love the boa constrictor that is wrapped around her body. that is really, really cool. And it also does a pretty good job of showing us the scale of the hag, because the hag is rather small compared to most killers. So you see down on her leg, I don't know if it's bright enough that you can see it very well, but there is the boa constrictor's head biting into her leg there, into her calf. And it's kind of cool because you use that head size compared to the rest of her and you realize, oh, she's not very large. It makes the snake look cooler, but it also shows, you know, the hag looks cool because she's got this little crown on. It's fantastic. This is really good. I like this cosmetic a lot. If you're in the market for a really cool one, go with that. However, I do want to put it out there. There are very few skins as off-putting and terrifying as the one they call the Abomination. We've got the foot growing out of her, you've got this extra arm on her chest. This thing is kind of hard to look at, and for a horror game, I think that's really cool. So that's also a very, very valid choice. Doctor, I had the hardest time narrowing down because Doctor has so many good skins. I'm going to go with Dapper Doctor here, and it comes down largely to the weapon. So he's got a lot of really good skins, and actually he's got quite a few cool weapons, but I don't think any are cooler than the one that makes this cane into the weapon. I love the big prong on the end, which looks like he's gonna stab you, but then in practice what he does is he just bashes your skull in, and it's very violent. I love this permanent grin missing a tooth. The whole thing is very upsetting, but in a perfect for Dead by Daylight kind of way. I think it's a great cosmetic, and again, thankfully, this is a very rare instead of a legendary, so you don't have to pay as much, which I realized I said legendary and I hovered over an event outfit, so, you know, whatever. What am I gonna do, right? Bubba, he's got 2 cosmetic choices, and they're both pretty good. So, for everybody, it's going to come down to this general debate of, do you like the mallet more or the Sunday suit? And for me, I go with the suit. I do like the weapon a lot more for this one. I think that this dinner smasher is better than the ball peen hammer. However, I love the sight of Bubba in his suit, and I think that the pretty woman mask is, it's properly messed up, right? So we'll go with that one for Bubba. Freddy is a bit of a sad choice. Freddy has no cosmetic options outside of prestiging him. And I mean, I guess that would be my choice. It's a bit of a cop-out, but again, Freddy has 0 options. So you know what? Let me just slap an image of Super Freddy on the screen, and we'll say that's Freddy's coolest cosmetic. You can unlock it by petitioning behavior literally every day until they lament. Until they put Super Freddy in the game. Amanda, a lot of people would choose the Tome outfit she got, which gave us this cool crown head, but actually I don't really like that cosmetic very much outside of the headpiece. I think that the lower body's not great, and I think the weapon feels like a bit of a rehash. So for me, what I like to go with here is this one, the test subject. I really like the pig mask itself. You see that her pig mask changes every time. And this one's kind of a happy medium because I think a lot of them, the pig is almost too large. And then in this one, I almost feel like it's too cutesy. It's fine, but like with the bangs and everything, it's got a lot going on. This one is great. I love the little weapon that's kind of vibrating as it goes. It's a really cool effect when it hits somebody, even though, by the way, this one has the coolest effect as far as weapons are concerned. So if you're just going off the weapon, I highly recommend, what's it called? The Twisted, I can't read. The Twisted Trefoil Blade? I hope I got that right. But I like this one because it is a reference to her outfit from the original Saw film. She was wearing a shirt that was rather similar to this, though the pants were different. I think the mask is great, the weapon's great, the whole thing is really, really good. And honestly, Pig is such a great example of somebody who doesn't have many cosmetics, but the ones that she does have are very, very good. Next up, we have the Clown. The Clown. And when it comes to the Clown, wow, what an array of high-quality cosmetics he has. His blighted skin is fantastic. This Easter skin is great. The Christmas Clown is a yearly staple for me. Even the one that he got for the Lord of the Underworld, that's really cool, especially because the weapon is top-notch. And I wish, this is one I really wish I could just mix and match. This one has no reason to be a set. It doesn't change his voice lines, it doesn't change anything notable, and any of these pieces could go on another Clown cosmetic, but I digress. I love Belly Clown, that's fantastic. His little hat is adorable. Clown's got a lot of great cosmetics, but everybody knows that the most popular one is Mr. Puddles, which is great. I love Mr. Puddles, but I did a little bit deceiving here, because as great as Mr. Puddles is, everybody who watches my streams, DOS_food, Twitch TV, knows Pulcinella Clown is my absolute favorite. And the reasons are numerous, but it basically boils down to the fact that this thing is upsetting. This thing is so hard to look at, and it's even less comfortable to be chased by it. So basically, at this point in my life, whether I'm doing Santa Clown or whatever, I usually put the Pulcinella head on regardless. I also think it's hilarious looking at those massive legs squeezed into those very, very tight tights. Fantastic. It's a great cosmetic, 10 out of 10, which is saying something, because I think Mr. Puddles is also a 10 out of 10, just kind of in a different way. So you can call it a tie if you want, but just know that my favorite is absolutely Pulcinella. This clown main is very happy to have a cosmetic he can reliably fall back on. Spirit has a lot of good cosmetics. Spirit gets a lot of cosmetics because she's a rather popular character. And I went around trying to decide which one I wanted to go with, but ultimately I realized I was just a huge fan of Awakened Origin. I love it, even if the actual weapon itself is not my favorite. It's not terrible, but compared to the rest of the outfit, it's kind of lacking, and it was why there was a little more debate. But I love her little face mask here, the Teeth of Wrath. I love this shattered armor. I think that when you're actually playing as Spirit, the taped up blood red hands look really cool. Overall, I think this one, to me, this is obviously my favorite Spirit one, but I'm willing to acknowledge that Spirit's got a lot of good ones. I mean, obviously, look, having a kimono is a really cool option. I love this one where she's got all this growing out of her. It's so uncomfortable. The nails are great. I mean, the whole thing's great. Spirit's got a lot of really good cosmetics. This one kind of gives me almost like Banshee vibes with the mouth and all that. Spirit's got some really good cosmetics, but for my personal taste, I like the one that always hyped it up as like, hey, yeah, remember, her bloodline is super cursed. Here's a cosmetic that's emblematic of that. It looks great. I love the Oni hair. The Oni hair is so cool. Really, really well done. I love that cosmetic. Legion. Yikes. I'm going to get bullied for this one. Because, you know, realistically, right, there's no right answer here. Whoever I say, first off, it matters. Do I pick one for each Legion member, or do I pick one individually? What do I do, right? Where do I go with this? And I considered doing that. I really did. So I'm not going to do it, though. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my favorite, and then I'm going to give you a quick runner-up. So my favorite is actually OG Joey, which counts because I tried to avoid original skins, but as you can see, you have to buy the Joey skin. You actually only start out with Frank and Julie. You have to buy Susie and Joey. So for me, he's got the Charlie Scene drip. He's looking good. I actually think it's like the one time that drop crotch pants have kind of worked for somebody. I might change those if I could, but you know what? I mean, it fits. I think the whole thing is just a really solid cosmetic. And for me, he's such a break from the Legion norm that I think he's really cool. I love the karambit as a knife. That's really a solid choice. It's great. It's a great cosmetic. However, I want to give my runner-up to the Rat Susie skin. I think this one, New Year's Shoplifter is what they call it. This one's great. I think the knee-high socks are really cool. The red sneakers, it's great. The jacket itself has a really cool coloration. It really seems like it's got a cool texture to it. I love that she taped the ear, or it looks like she actually sewed the ears on here to make it more rat-like. The whole thing's great. You get the long pink braid to remind you that this is, in fact, Susie. It's great. It's a really, really great cosmetic. And if it's the one that you're going with, you could do a lot worse. You know, also, as one more, by the way, we have all of these Silent Hill bunnies. I can't believe this was added to the game, and I'm so glad that it was. So fantastic. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Plague. Plague is actually currently in her best cosmetic for me here. What's it called? It is the Sea Goat Worshipper. This one, to me, is everything I look for out of the Plague. So, this one is regal, it is striking, but it is also disgusting. And I think that's ideal. I think that Plague can lean pretty heavily into regality or the realm of being disgusting, but this one strikes that balance really well with this clearly very royal red color. There's gold, there's red. It's lovely. The headpiece, this ornamental helmet that she's wearing is beautiful. The weapon itself is fantastic. It looks to me like something a Targaryen might have. This is just absolutely lovely, and I think it's a really solid cosmetic. This one also launched with her, so Plague's best cosmetic launched when she did, which is fitting because I actually think she's one of the coolest killers in the game. Next up, we have Ghostface, and I'm going to cheat. I'm going to cheat my rules here, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cheat my rules, but in appreciation for the art department, I'm just going to give it to base Ghostface, which is such a cool take on such a long-lasting and established figure in horror. This is a redesign that is a perfect 10 out of 10 to me, and they managed to capture so much of what makes Ghostface iconic and what makes him great, while also managing to add this new flair that, at risk of sounding blasphemous, coming from a guy who loves the Scream series and has even seen Scream 3 quite a few times, which should tell you how much I enjoy the series, I think this is the best Ghostface has ever looked. This is fantastic. It's absolutely stunning, but you know, that's not to say it's the only good cosmetic. I mean, you look over these are all great. You could pick any of them that, you know, is your personal favorite, but I just want to give a shout out for this one. I mean, they had such a tall task. You get to do Ghostface, but it can't be that Ghostface. So what do? You redesign them, and they killed it. So you don't even have to spend money. We're actually going to have to, oh wait, never mind, I already put them into cosmetic, right. So there are a lot of good Demogorgon skins, or I say a lot, there are 3 good Demogorgon skins. Any of them are equally valid as the others. You have the one where he's in chains, you have the one where he's covered in goop, we'll call it, and then you have this one. And what I like about this one is there's the joke that if given enough time, everything eventually evolves to become a crab. And it looks like that's exactly what happened to the Demogorgon. I was very excited when this cosmetic dropped because I thought that maybe we were going to get the Crabagorgon in Stranger Things. Never ended up happening, but damn, it looks really good. I like how it's almost like armor. I mean, the shells have grown in to be essentially armor for the Demogorgon. This thing is very terrifying. This, to me, is the scariest that the Demogorgon looks, outside of its base form, which is off-putting just for that, you know, that kind of that stark white coloration that it comes with. But this is a very upsetting but awesome. It's almost like the Demogorgon was combined with, like, the Witch King of Angmar. Very cool. Very, very cool cosmetic. Next up, we have Oni. I'm gonna stop starting off with each one saying, oh, well, now we have this character, and they've got a lot of good cosmetics. Because at this point, I'm just fanboying over the art team who does such a good job. But this is another set cosmetic. This is the Minotaur. The Minotaur is debatably the best cosmetic in the entire game. They outdid themselves here. The only thing that I would change if I could is I would make Oni a little quieter on the menus. Damn, the boy gets loud. But look at that, he got quiet right as I said it. So this looks, oh, never mind. This guy looks good. There is something especially terrifying. Look, being chased down by a Japanese Oni is already scary enough, right? Because the Oni is this demonic force. It's terrifying. Look at this thing. I do think the Stark White is very creepy in its own right. However, the Minotaur is a perfect 10 out of 10. The weapon itself is incredible. There's so much love put into this. But then the Oni becoming the Minotaur, it's perfect. This is a perfect cosmetic. And when I talk about set cosmetics, I'm okay with this. I am okay with this type of set cosmetic. This one looks good. This is breathtaking. We love this. We need this. More of this behavior. Please, please, please. Next up, Deathslinger. And this is the first one I think we come to where, perhaps a little controversially, I don't really like almost any of Deathslinger's cosmetics. I don't think they've had nearly enough fun with the Wild West theme. You know, I would like to see more. So what I will do here is I will default to the one that I actually have him in, which would be my favorite without question if he had a cool top hat. But for whatever reason, you get this skin and they take his hat off and they leave him just with this very honest Abe look he's got going on with the beard and the the whole thing going on. Now, I mean, obviously, Honest Abe wasn't bald. And I say Honest Abe, Abe Lincoln. Yeah, I don't know. I think the gun looks great. The duster is really cool, if not entirely unique. I like that he has stirrups on. He's got the little pocket watch. He's got the, I mean, he's got the whole thing going on. He's got a very Wild West looking thing going on. He's got the bolo tie even, which is really a nice detail. At least I think that's a bolo tie. It looks like that's what we're dealing with there. Yeah, I mean, it's good. This is his best cosmetic, but I still think that his best of all time is yet to come. Oh wait, I didn't even give you the name of it. This one is called Frontier Vigilante. It's a nice one. I think more than anything what sells it is how good the weapon looks. The weapon looks just astonishingly good there. My recommendation would be to buy it and then pair it with one of the hats. Next up, there are a couple of different Pyramid Head ones, right? This one is kind of chaotic, much like the Blighted cosmetics tend to be. This one keeps with the Silent Hill theme in that he's got some kind of flesh all over him and barbed wire and, you know, very Silent Hill. But for me, give me Pyramid Head con queso. This is fantastic. I love the melted cheese look of this one. This is just wonderful. I don't personally use it myself. One, because I'm kind of tired of buying cosmetics. They tend to be a little expensive, especially for licensed characters. But also because you can see this one from several maps away. You know, when it comes to Pyramid Head, 2 of his 3 are kind of pay to lose, but you're going to lose in style. This is a very cool one. You look at the weapon. The weapon's very cool. The thought of being a survivor and getting hit with a weapon that is so hot, it's literally white hot, that's brutal. That is actually kind of brutal. I like his little spine, the little Spinosaurus sail he has going down the back of the helmet. You know, whatever. Or the head, I guess. Anyway, this one's a good one. I like it. Quality stuff. Pretty good. Blight, another one who is very tempting for me to go with his legendary one. What do they call this one? The Ferryman of the Underworld. This one's pretty good. This one is really cool. The weapon's alright. I mean, it's a broken off ore. It's not great. But everything else is pretty great with this one. It's not my choice, though. It's not my choice. I also want to give a special shout out to this one, which to me looks like the Blight has been mixed with the Flood from Halo, and I think that's really, really cool. Such a fun design choice, which also very subconsciously triggers a fear in me because as a child I was just mortified from the Flood scene from Combat Evolved. But my actual favorite Blight is Dapper Blight. I like him in his coat and his top hat. He's got his cane. He did tear off one of the sleeves. He went full Bill Belichick on that one, but other than that, it looks, I mean, not other than that, it looks great. It fits with the theme that he's kind of more monster than man now. Also, it gets rid of the toothy coochie effect of his normal mouth, which, if you needed to remember what that looked like, ew. So this one just gets rid of that entirely, making him a truly dapper boy. I love it. It's a great cosmetic. Twins. This is one that you can't currently buy on the store, but it was just in a tome, so about a year from now you will be able to buy it if you don't have it. Twins are another one where they have a lot of terrible cosmetics. Almost all of their cosmetics are bad. So for me, I go with their whole, whatever you would call this. It's kind of a French Revolutionary type thing. You get the cool hat, which looks like a pirate hat to me. You get this coat. It's lovely. You still can't customize Victor because life is unfair. This is not the weapon it comes with. In fact, let me go to the lab. Let me show you what we're dealing with here. I don't want to be lazy here. I don't want to not give you your due. So this is actually the weapon. To me, there's way too much going on here, but overall, you know, it could always be worse, right? It could be worse. It's not great, but it's the best the Twins have. They, you know, the art department is fantastic. They constantly do great work, but in the Twins, they've kind of let them down. Next up, we have Trickster. Trickster has a lot of very popular ones. My personal favorite is, what's this one called? Cut Through You Performance. I like the kind of devilish theme he has going here. Red eyes, you know, a black and red cosmetics with just enough white thrown in to really make it pop. The whole thing looks good. And then for me, I think that this weapon is probably the best one Trickster has, even though now they actually released a tome wherein you get the same weapon. It's just blue instead of pink now. But for me personally, pink is probably my favorite color, especially pink and black is my favorite color combo. And I think they look so good here with just enough gold to make it kind of classy. This is a really good cosmetic. Trickster has quite a few good cosmetics, and actually you don't even have to break the bank. If you just want to go for something like, you can see I own this one, that's just his normal coat, but black, white, and gold. I think it looks great. It looks really, really good. So Trickster leaves you with a lot of options. But if we're going full sets, which we are, that's the rules of this, I'm going with the Cut Through You Performance. I think it looks really, really good. Next up, Nemesis. Nemi has one cosmetic. He may get a new one when Project W comes out, but for now, Nemi has one cosmetic, and that is the Blighted Nemesis, which I actually think they just call Nemesis Blight. Wait, yeah, okay, sure. Look, this is a great take on Nemesis. Again, it's kind of pay to lose because of how bright you become. They're gonna see you from a distance, but you're Nemesis. They'll know you're coming with those footsteps. Which, by the way, his lemon pepper steppers have gotten even bigger. So hopefully, I know they wouldn't actually do this, but I kind of wish that would make his footsteps even heavier. One thing I do like about this is these on the side, these big bulges that he has, you can see it almost looks like an eye, which gives me kind of William Birkin vibes. And I think that's really cool. I don't think they did that as a reference, but if they did, really, really cool. Looks great. Next, we have the Cenobite. Now, I went back and forth on this one if it was fair to count the Chatterer, or if that was just kind of like supposed to be an alternative, but they charged you full price for it. It's an expensive cosmetic. Say goodbye to 10 bucks. And you know what? It's pretty cool. The Chatterer is a really, really cool character that does a lot without ever having to speak a word. And it just adds to the uncanny nature of Hellraiser 1 and 2. And more so Hellraiser 1. Hellraiser 2 was almost more the aliens to the first one's alien in some ways. But yeah, the only issue I have with this one is I wish that he didn't have his eyes. Outside of that, I think that this is a very... He says, don't take my eyes, Will. He just threw chains at me. This one's kind of an easy pick because, personally, I don't love... This one just looks so silly to me. It looks like when Squidward joins the rock band. Not Sweet Victory. I'm talking seasons later when Squidward gets all jacked and joins the rock band in SpongeBob. It just looks kind of silly and out of place. You know, no disrespect intended. It just doesn't feel very... Until you turn around, you see that hook hanging out of the flesh. It just doesn't feel very Hellraiser to me. Chatterer, however, is quintessential Hellraiser, and I really like that cosmetic. Next up, we have the Artist. And the Artist, look, as we get newer and newer, they're going to have fewer and fewer cosmetics. However, with the Artist, they already gave us a pretty cool one. I actually like this common one. I think that the black looks really good, and then the red on the face, it's very eerie. However, I'm not going to count it because in the case of the Artist, you'll notice it's a body and a head, but no weapon, and we're doing full sets here. So I'm going to go, what did they call this one? The Wintry Reverie. I'm sure I got that one wrong. It's uncanny. It's very, very upsetting to look at, and especially when she starts making those noises that she makes. Very fitting of the Artist. There is something beautiful here and something very ugly here, which I think is the entire point of this character, is that beauty and hideousness are right alongside each other, kind of similar to Plague, now that I think about it. But, you know, it's cool. I like whatever head this is that she has. It makes me think of something, but I can't really tell what it is. I'm struggling. I thought before I went to record this, I was trying to recall just what it was that this head makes me think of, and I can't place it. I can't place what this is making me think of, but it looks so darn familiar. So if you think of it, let me know. But anyway, that's my favorite Plague cosmetic. As far as the Onryo is concerned, she only has one cosmetic, but damn, they knocked it out of the park. Look at this. This is her remains from the well. This is essentially, if instead of this, which she looks pretty good, not decomposed all that much, really just the fingernails are the issue, and maybe she's a little grimy, you know, needs a good scrubbing, but outside of that, she's fine. This one is, okay, her body was left in a well, she's just been decomposing. What I like about it so much is, I don't think she'll do an animation to actually show it, but the actual color change for her basic attack is so cool. This is really nice. They should be very proud of this one. This looks very good. And next up, we have the Dredge. Now, the Dredge just got this Tome cosmetic, which I currently have him in. And you know, it looks pretty good. I like the Dredge wearing his crown. It's pretty nice. It's also cool that when he hits you, and it makes that sound of the almost scythe-looking weapon dragging on the floor. it makes more sense this way because usually it looks too fleshy for me to believe the metallic sound it's making, but it makes sense for this one. However, I'm actually going to show love to this one, where, what do they call it? Twisted Plaything, where the Dredge just becomes a collection of dolls. This is not only horrifying, but it also shows what this could become as a character, what we can expect from the Dredge going forward. This is one of the more creative concepts we've seen for the design of a killer, and if, oh, Maurice just fell out. I gotta say, I'm genuinely upset about them taking Maurice. But anyway, this is very, very hard to look at for all the right reasons. And I'm very excited to see what they do with the Dredge going forward, because the Dredge could be one of those where every time they announce new skins, the Dredge gets one. And so long as they're at least remotely on the same level of quality as this one, a Dredge will quickly become the best dressed killer in the game. So good stuff all around. But that's gonna do it for me. These have been my personal favorites for all of the killers. What do you think? Do you disagree with me? Look, I know this was not the most mentally stimulating video I've ever put out there, but sometimes I like to cut loose, have a little fun, and hey, who knows, maybe we can have a fun conversation about this down below in the comments where you say, hey, actually, my favorite skin is this one, or you can let me know, especially, hey, I like to use this one and mix it with this one. I like to use this weapon, this head, and this chest on this kill, you know, because that's what most of us do, right? If you look at me, usually my go-to build for the clown these days is I run the Pulcinella head with his base torso, and then I like to run the letter opener from Santa Clown. That's kind of my go-to clown look these days. So that's what most people do. They like to mix and match. But anyway, we'll be back with the Survivor one shortly. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Stay safe out there. Thanks for watching this video, and until next time, I've been Das Food. Bye, friends.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my